Hi, Algebra 1. We are moving on to Chapter 2, Section 1. We're going to go ahead and have an introduction to inequalities. You might know inequalities as those alligator signs, but we're going to go ahead and give you two examples here. So there's one and there's the other. So when you have your inequalities, you're going to go ahead and actually just start by reading the variable first. So on the left one, we'd start with x is less than 5. And even on the right one, I like to start with x is less than or equal to 5. So these both say a number, x, is less than or equal to 5. And that little equal sign is because of that little bar, right? Sometimes you have inequalities that look like this. And this, again, start with your variable. So on this one, we would say y is greater than -2, or y is greater than -2. Greater than -2. So then that brings me back to our signs that we have. So we have, a lot of times we have what is a closed circle. And this is when we're talking about these signs with the little equal bar under it. And these are closed circles. And this one means greater than or less than or equal to. So this means that you can go ahead and include the number in your solutions. For example, on this top one, x could be 5, or it could also be less than 5. So it could be 4.5, it could be 4.2, it could be -1, but it could be 5. And when we're graphing these, I'm just going to draw a number line here. So when we're graphing these, I like to always go ahead and put 0 in the number that we're talking about. You want to graph it with a closed circle and then draw a line in that direction that it's going. So again, this is showing that it includes all these solutions. So on the other guy, do green for this one, these are called open circles. And this is when we have these greater than or less than, the classic alligators, no equal sign, and these are called open circles. And these include things like greater than or less than. So no equal to on that one. The key about that sign over here is this equal to or equal to. So on the open circles, you cannot include the number in your solution. So for example, on this one, y cannot be -2, right? It can be everything greater than -2. So it could be -1.5, it could be -1.999, but it cannot be -2. And how we graph this guy is that we're going to go ahead and draw a number line. And again, I like to put 0, and then I like to kind of make a reference as to where the number is. So we put an open circle, don't fill it in, and then you go ahead, draw a line, and graph it in that direction. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to try a few of these graphs on your own. I'm going to give you the inequality. So we're going to say you try. We're going to start with x is less than or equal to 7 and 43. X is greater than 1/2. Okay, at this time, if you wanted to pause the video and try it on your own, now would be a really good time. If you want to watch me, just an FYI when we're setting up our graphs, again, I like to go ahead and ask for you guys to draw just a little number line there. I like to have 0. So your graphs need to have 0 and then kind of reference where the number is that you're doing. So this one we have 0 and 7. Now this says x is less than or equal to 7. Number 1 has to be a closed dot. Start with the closed dot and then shade in the direction of your solutions. So this guy is numbers less than or equal to 7. We're going to start with another number line here. And again, wherever 0 is, so 0, and then 43 is all the way over here. These are saying numbers greater than 43. I'm going to shade in that direction. Set up a number line. I'm going to put 0 right here kind of in the middle. I'm going to put 1/2. So as you notice, my number lines aren't that scaled, but I'm not looking right now for scaling. I'm looking for the fact that you have an open or closed circle. And again, this guy is going to be open. And we're going to shade in this direction. Now, if I put this equal sign, let's go ahead, let's change this one and put an equal sign under it. Now we would shade it in with that equal sign. Okay, last one. This one is 0, and now we know that it's -7. So I'm going to put -7 over here, open circle. And I'm talking about numbers less than -7. And now if you remember that you want to, when you're talking about numbers less than negative, they go more negative, they get smaller and less than. Okay, let's try it again though, but this time I'm going to give you the graphs and you are going to write the inequality. So I'm going to give you this graph, let's say 0. Okay, so try to write the inequality for that one. I'm going to give you one more as well. If you need to pause the video, as always, feel free to. Okay, so let's write some inequalities for this guy. I always like to start with the variable, and I usually start with the variable of x. And then I know that this is going to be an open circle, so it's less than, and I go ahead and put my number 8. So these are all numbers less than 8. So for example, a solution for this one could be 7, -4, -100. Now this guy's kind of tricky. It's I like to start again with x. Now this one is greater than or equal to, and this is actually 0. And as a reminder, 0 is a number, a solution that you can. So when we're talking about this could be like 1, 18, 19.3, lots of numbers in there greater than 0. So I always like to, and you're going to see this again on your homework tonight, talk about inequalities in 4 sections. So I talk about them with their words. We talk about them in the actual inequality. So the sign and the variable and the number. We have possible solutions. And then, of course, the graph. Okay, I'm actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move this over a little bit because I'm going to run out of room. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to set up some lines here so that we can have lots of columns. Okay, so the first one that I'm going to do is a number greater than 6. So a number greater than 6. Again, I like to start with the variable. I'm like, okay, a number greater than 6. So I got 2 columns done already. Now we got to think about possible solutions. 7 is greater than 6. 100 is greater than 6. Let's see here. 57 over 2 is greater than 6. So those are all possible solutions. If I had said -7, that would not work, right? So -7 is not a solution, not a possible solution here. So then again, let's throw it on a graph. And once again, I'm going to keep saying this right now. I like to have 0 in the number. So 0 and then wherever the relationship to 0, where that number lies. And I'm going to go ahead, open circle, and we're graphing this way. Okay, last one I'm going to give you, let's see here. I'm going to start with the inequality. So we're going to have, now would be a really good time to pause, try it on your own. So this is, again, start with reading it this way. A number less than or equal to 21. So what you just said, a number less than or equal to 21 is exactly what you write. Think of some possible solutions. Numbers less than 21. We could have 0. We could have 2.3. We could have -4. And again, with this one, 21 is actually a solution, right? Because you can go all the way up to 21 on this one. And let's just graph this guy to finish out our columns here. So here's 0, here is 21. Always start open or closed circle. It's a closed because it has that equal sign under it. And then we're going ahead and we're going to go numbers less than 21, going all the way that way. And those are your inequalities. Of course, reach out if you have any questions.